I served as president of NACCHO from 2000 to 2001. And however, I was involved in NACCHO for 14 years, for the entire time that I was a local health director. And then well beyond that, when I left local public health practice to go into academic public health, which was the final leg of my public health career. But I served on numerous NACCHO committees and was always involved in NACCHO, in addition to being the president in 2000 and 2001. And then as I mentioned, beyond that, when I left local public health practice, I stayed involved through various partnerships with NACCHO, some involving academic and practical public health, and others having to do with the Past President's Council. The three areas that I really want to focus on are, number one, NACCHO's emphasis on health equity and health disparities during my time in office. We were able to organize a very dynamic conference. I would submit it was one of the most dynamic and at the time well-attended conferences. And most importantly, it really served as a springboard for a number of initiatives that had started to happen at NACCHO, but that followed then with more support, more momentum. And I mean, the rest is history. There have been numerous, testimonials and documents prepared on all the work that NACCHO has done on health equity. Secondly, another issue that we focused on during my time as president was the whole concern about how do we standardize local public health practice. Many local health departments, I'm happy to say, have been through that accreditation process and been successful at it, and it is not easy to do by any means. And thirdly, a really important development, very significant, that happened during my time as president was the passage of a bill, I'm going to be specific here, called the Public Health Threats and Emergencies Act. It passed in 2000. NACCHO is important to local public health now for the same reasons it was important to local public health when I was a practitioner. I mean, the issues that we face in local public health practice are complex. They're often politically charged, often controversial. I mean, the COVID pandemic could not be a more cogent example of how challenging and difficult local public health practice is, and practitioners and local health departments need a place that they can turn to for support, for guidance, for stimulation, to invigorate them. And NACCHO is that. I mean, I really believe that NACCHO is unique in providing that sustenance to local health departments. But NACCHO, as I often said when I was in the NACCHO leadership, that NACCHO is not just a trade organization or a support group. NACCHO is also a very, very important innovator, and NACCHO can lead local public health practice in ways that will advance both the efficacy and the impact of what local public health practitioners do, whether it's through trainings, whether it's through convening, through cultivating important partnerships with other sectors that are so critical to the functioning of local health departments and the success of local health departments and in achieving the mission of local public health practice. There's a good argument to be made of NACCHO staying the course and doing much of what it did in the past, and I believe that that's true. And when I looked back at a statement that I wrote when I first became president of NACCHO, and I laid out my aspirations for NACCHO at the time, and high on the list was that we just remain very true in our actions to all the values that we espouse. I think that public health is a noble profession, and I really believe that NACCHO helps us in many ways in the profession to emulate our values